The holographic images flickered in the darkness of the United Earth Council chamber, each frame more horrifying than the last. Ambassador Thea Rhodes gripped the podium until her knuckles turned white, forcing herself to watch the footage for the 100th time. The pristine colony of New Eden, humanity's most ambitious terraforming project, reduced to smoking ruins. Bodies scattered across streets designed for children's laughter and community celebrations. The attack began at dawn local time. Thea's voice carried across the silent chamber. The Vrathi battle fleet bypassed our early warning systems using some form of advanced cloaking technology. They struck without warning or provocation. The assembled council members watched in horror as the next sequence played out. A group of children, no more than 6 or 7 years old, huddled in what remained of their school. The Vrathi warriors, towering insectoids in gleaming battle armor, methodically executed them all. Fleet Commander Marcus Walsh stood at attention behind Thea, his weathered face a mask of controlled fury. For 30 years, humanity had maintained the facade of a minor spacefaring species, hiding their true military capability behind a carefully crafted illusion of technological inadequacy. That facade was about to shatter. 4,317 colonists dead, Thea continued, her voice steady despite the rage burning in her chest. 852 of them children. The Vrathi Empire claims this was a necessary military action against a suspected weapons research facility. She paused, letting the absurdity of the claim hang in the air. We have confirmed that this attack was authorized at the highest levels of the Vrathi military command. Council President Jerome Kane leaned forward, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic carnage. Ambassador Rhodes, you've spent more time studying the Vrathi than anyone. Why? Why target children? Thea's jaw tightened. The Vrathi Empire operates on principles of absolute dominance. Their military doctrine calls for the elimination of future threats. In their view, human children represent our species' potential for resistance. She took a deep breath. They believe they were being merciful, preventing these children from growing up to fight against them. The chamber erupted in shouts of outrage and calls for immediate military action. President Kane raised his hand for silence. Commander Walsh, what is the status of the Sentinel fleet? Marcus stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of decades of preparation. The entire fleet is combat-ready, sir. 750 warships, including our most advanced dreadnoughts, all equipped with technologies we've kept hidden since first contact. We can launch a full-scale response within 24 hours. The Vrathi believe they've caught us defenseless, Thea added. Their entire strategy relies on the assumption that humanity lacks the military capability to retaliate effectively. They expect us to protest through diplomatic channels while they consolidate their gains. The council chamber's air grew heavy with the weight of the coming decision. Humanity had maintained peace through careful deception, playing the role of technological inferiors while secretly preparing for the possibility of this very moment. Now, that peace lay shattered among the ruins of New Eden. President Kane stood, his decision evident in his bearing. Ambassador Rhodes, you will deliver our response to the Galactic Council. Commander Walsh, initiate Operation Thunderfall. The Vrathi Empire has mistaken our patience for weakness. They believe they could murder our children without consequences. His voice hardened. Show them the cost of their miscalculation. As the council session ended, Thea found Marcus waiting in the anteroom. The commander's facade of military discipline cracked slightly, revealing the pain beneath. My sister's family was on New Eden, he said quietly. My niece had just started first grade. Thea placed a hand on his shoulder, feeling the tension in his muscles. We'll make it right, Marcus. Not just for your niece, but for all of them. The Vrathi think they understand humanity, Marcus replied, his voice low and dangerous. They've studied our visible military capabilities, our official technological level, our diplomatic responses. But they've never seen us truly fight. They don't know what we become when someone threatens our children. As they walked toward the command center where humanity's response would be coordinated, Thea thought about the message she would deliver to the Galactic Council. The Vrathi Empire had committed an atrocity, believing their superior military technology would shield them from consequences. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon had never been their hidden fleets or advanced technology. It was their capacity for righteous fury and the lengths they would go to protect their own. The dawn of the next day would bring with it a revelation that would shake the galaxy. Humanity's wrath was about to be unleashed, and the stars themselves would tremble. The Vrathi High Command Center buzzed with activity as emergency alerts flooded every communication channel. Supreme Commander Vexthar's compound eyes reflected dozens of tactical displays showing impossible readings. Where there had been empty space hours before, hundreds of human warships now emerged from seemingly nowhere, their hulls gleaming with technology far beyond what the Vrathi had believed humans capable of producing. Impossible, Vexthar chittered, his mandibles clicking in agitation. Their fleet was counted, monitored. We knew their capabilities. His aide, Subcommander Zikare, rushed forward with fresh data. Supreme Commander, we're detecting energy signatures orders of magnitude higher than any known human vessel. Their ships, they're not just appearing, they're cutting through our defensive screens like they don't exist. In the command center of the TFS Nemesis, Commander Marcus Walsh watched as the first wave of human ships tore through the Vrathi border defenses. Decades of hidden technological development were paying off. The Vrathi's supposedly impenetrable shields might as well have been tissue paper against weapons specifically designed to counter them. Status report, Marcus commanded, his voice steady despite the fury still burning in his chest. Lieutenant Raven Torres, his tactical officer, responded crisply. First wave has breached their outer defense line. Minimal resistance encountered. Their weapons can't penetrate our quantum shields, sir. It's like they're fighting with sticks against titanium. Don't get overconfident, Marcus warned. The Vrathi didn't build their empire by being stupid. They'll adapt. On the diplomatic front, Ambassador Thea Rhodes stood before the Galactic Council, her emerald eyes scanning the assembled representatives of 100 spacefaring species. The chamber had erupted into chaos as reports of the human fleet's true capabilities reached them. For 3 decades, Thea's voice cut through the din. Humanity has hidden its true strength. We sought peace through deterrence, building our capabilities in secret while presenting a facade of technological inferiority. The Vrathi Empire mistook our restraint for weakness. They believed they could murder our children without consequences. The Andarian representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with concern. Ambassador Rhodes, this level of deception, the hidden fleet, many species will view this as a threat. With respect, Representative, Thea replied, the threat to galactic peace came from those who believed they could commit atrocities without repercussion. We're not seeking conquest. We're seeking justice. Back in Vrathi space, the battle was turning into a rout. Marcus watched as another Vrathi battle group attempted to engage the human fleet, only to find their weapons absorbed by advanced shields, while precision strikes disabled their ships without destroying them. Sir, Lieutenant Torres called out, we're picking up transmissions from several Vrathi colonies. They're requesting protection from their own military. Marcus frowned. Explain. It seems not all Vrathi supported the attack on New Eden. Some colonies are in open revolt against the High Command. They're claiming the military acted without civilian authority. This was unexpected. Marcus opened a channel to Thea's diplomatic vessel. Ambassador, are you getting this? Confirmed. Thea's voice came through, thoughtful. The Vrathi Empire isn't as monolithic as they wanted us to believe. The military hardliners who ordered the attack might not represent the will of their entire species. A priority alert flashed across Marcus's screen. Supreme Commander Vexthar was requesting direct communication. After a moment's hesitation, Marcus accepted the transmission. The Vrathi commander's image appeared, his chitinous armor bearing the marks of recent damage. Commander Walsh, your response was unanticipated. Perhaps we can discuss terms before this conflict escalates further. Marcus felt his jaw clench. Terms? You murdered children, Supreme Commander. What terms could possibly address that? The attack was a mistake. Vexthar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. Certain elements within our military exceeded their authority. If you'll cease your attack, I can deliver those responsible. You personally authorized the strike. Marcus cut him off. "We have the command codes, the communication logs. You're not looking for justice, Supreme Commander. You're looking to save yourself now that you've discovered you're not the strongest predator in the galaxy anymore." As if to punctuate his words, another Vrathi battle group fell to the human fleet's advanced weapons. The message was clear. Humanity had not just caught up technologically, they had surpassed their adversaries. In the Galactic Council chamber, Thea received an urgent message from Earth Command. She read it quickly, then addressed the assembly again. "We have just received intelligence that the Vrathi High Command is preparing to use civilian populations as shields, moving them to military installations. They believe this will force us to either halt our advance or become the monsters they painted us as." The chamber erupted in outrage, but this time directed at the Vrathi. Even species that had initially feared humanity's hidden strength now saw the true face of their opponents. "Commander Walsh," Thea communicated to the fleet, "we need a response that shows both our strength and our humanity. The galaxy is watching." Marcus studied the tactical display, watching as more Vrathi colonies declared their opposition to their military leadership. A plan began to form in his mind. They had sought justice for the children of New Eden, but perhaps they could achieve something more. The liberation of an entire species from those who would use them as pawns in their games of conquest. "All ships," he commanded, "prepare for precision strikes. We're going to surgically remove the Vrathi military command structure while preserving civilian infrastructure. Let's show the galaxy the difference between vengeance and justice." The human fleet moved forward, their advanced technology now serving not just as a weapon of war, but as a tool of liberation. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity demonstrated not just their hidden strength, but their capacity for measured response in the face of atrocity. The awakening giant was not just powerful, it was wise. And that, perhaps, was what terrified their enemies most of all. The orbital view of the Vrathi colony world Kethera filled the Nemesis's main screen. Dozens of massive military installations dotted the surface, each now surrounded by hastily relocated civilian populations. Commander Marcus Walsh studied the tactical display with growing concern, watching as more transport ships descended to the surface, carrying even more civilian hostages. "They're calling our bluff," Lieutenant Torres said quietly. "They think we won't strike military targets with civilians present." Marcus's grip tightened on his command chair. "They're right about that much. We're not them. We don't murder innocents." A new signal caught their attention. A transmission from the surface, heavily encrypted but bearing civilian authentication codes. When decoded, the face that appeared belonged to a Vrathi female, her carapace bearing the distinctive markings of a scientific caste. "I am Dr. Curti," she began, mandibles trembling slightly. "I speak for a growing resistance movement within our civilian population. We can help you target the military leadership without harming our people, but we need your protection." In the diplomatic vessel racing toward Kethera, Ambassador Thea Rhodes reviewed Dr. Curti's transmission with intense interest. "Commander," she communicated to Marcus, "this could be the opening we need, but we have to move carefully. One wrong step, and we could trigger a massacre." The resistance movement had provided them with detailed layouts of the military installations, including underground tunnels and security protocols. But the risk was enormous. If their attack failed, the military hardliners would likely execute civilians in retaliation. "There's something else you should see," Dr. Curti transmitted. Evidence of why they attacked New Eden. It wasn't just about eliminating future threats. They found something in their archaeological surveys of that sector. Something that terrified them. The data packet she sent contained ancient stellar maps and xenoarchaeological findings. Thea's eyes widened as she processed the information. Marcus, according to this, the reason they targeted New Eden wasn't just military doctrine. They found evidence of an ancient human presence in this sector of space, predating known human spaceflight by thousands of years. The ancient chamber deep beneath Kethera's surface hummed with energy that had lain dormant for millennia. Commander Marcus Walsh stood before a massive holographic display, watching as it responded to his mere presence, ancient human genetic markers triggering systems that had waited eons for their rightful operators to return. "It's responding to all of us," Lieutenant Torres reported, gesturing to where other human officers interfaced effortlessly with technology that predated Earth's Bronze Age. But why can't we read any of the text? If this was built by ancient humans? Dr. Curdy stepped forward, her scientific expertise evident in her precise movements. Because it's not just human, Commander. The artifacts we've discovered suggest a collaboration, ancient humans working alongside other species, including our own ancestors. The Vrathi military didn't just fear your return to power. They feared the revelation that our species once worked together as equals. In orbit, Ambassador Thea Rhodes coordinated with a growing coalition of Vrathi civilian leaders and representatives from other galactic species. The evidence pouring out of the ancient facility had sparked a diplomatic firestorm. Some species reacted with fear, others with fascination, but all recognized that the galaxy's political landscape was shifting fundamentally. The facility contains more than just weapons, Dr. Curdy explained, leading them deeper into the complex. It holds historical records, scientific knowledge, and something else. Something the military leadership was willing to commit genocide to keep hidden. They entered a vast circular chamber, its walls covered in crystalline data storage units. At its center stood a pillar of light, within which complex patterns shifted and swirled. As they watched, it began forming into recognizable shapes, star maps, spatial coordinates, and finally, clear images of Earth as it had been thousands of years ago. This is impossible, Thea breathed, having joined them planetside. These images show advanced cities, spaceports, civilization far beyond what Earth had at that time. What happened to all of it? We found references to a threat, Dr. Curdy said solemnly. Something that forced the ancient alliance to scatter, to hide their achievements and retreat to their homeworlds. The humans of Earth chose to start over, seeding their planet with more primitive societies, erasing their own history to protect themselves from something so terrible that even its name was purged from these records. Marcus felt a chill despite the chamber's warmth. And now we've reactivated these facilities. If that threat still exists, it's worse than that, Dr. Curdy interrupted. The Vrathi military leadership wasn't just trying to prevent humans from reclaiming their heritage. They were preparing to face this ancient enemy themselves, using stolen technology they barely understood. The attack on New Eden wasn't just about the ruins. They believed your children might inherit genetic memories that could awaken humanity's dormant knowledge. Lieutenant Torres's console suddenly lit up with urgent alerts. Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from multiple points across Vrathi space. They're activating other facilities like this one, but the power readings are dangerously unstable. They're going to get us all killed, Dr. Curdy chittered in alarm. The compatibility protocols require both human and Vrathi operators working in harmony. Trying to force activation with just one species, it could trigger a cascade failure across all the facilities. Marcus quickly opened a channel to the fleet. All ships, begin emergency evacuation of population centers near any suspected ancient facilities. Doctor, we need a solution fast. The scientist moved to one of the control interfaces. There might be a way. The facilities were designed to recognize genetic harmony between species. If we can demonstrate that humans and Vrathi are working together willingly, we might be able to initiate a controlled shutdown. And if we fail? Thea asked, though she already knew the answer. Then we'll understand exactly what our ancestors were running from, Dr. Curdy replied grimly. As if in response to their discussion, the central pillar of light began pulsing more rapidly, projecting images of star systems far beyond known space. They watched as entire solar systems darkened, consumed by something that the ancient records had deemed too terrible to name. Look at these timestamps, Torres pointed out. Whatever this threat was, it's been moving through the galaxy for millions of years. If it keeps to this pattern, it would be approaching our sector of space now, Thea finished, her voice barely a whisper. The chamber systems suddenly shifted, responding to the combined presence of humans and Vrathi working together. New information began flooding their displays, not just warnings, but plans. Their ancestors hadn't just hidden. They'd prepared for the day when their descendants would need to stand together. This isn't just a historical record, Marcus realized. It's a wake-up call. The attack on New Eden, our retaliation, the revelation of these facilities, it's all been leading to this moment. Our ancestors knew that only by facing a crisis together would our species remember how to work as one. Dr. Curtie's mandibles clicked in agreement. The question is, Commander, are we ready to face what's coming? Can our species move past recent hostilities to confront something that terrified civilizations far more advanced than our own? The chamber hummed with ancient power as Human and Vrothi stood together, facing a truth larger than their recent conflict. The murder of children on New Eden had set in motion events that would force both species to confront not just their shared past, but a future that would require them to stand united against a threat beyond imagination. The hidden truth had been revealed, but it was just the beginning. The real test of both species' capacity for cooperation and survival was about to begin. 1 year after the activation of the ancient facilities, the combined Human-Vrothi Defense Center on New Eden's reconstructed surface stood as a testament to how quickly former enemies could become allies when faced with a greater threat. The colony had been rebuilt, not just as a memorial to those lost, but as humanity's first joint military-scientific installation with their former adversaries. Commander Marcus Walsh stood before the eternal flame that marked the Children's Memorial, its blue-white fire drawn from the same energy that powered the ancient facilities. Beside him, Dr. Curtie's carapace had gained the silver streaks of a senior scientific advisor, earned through her tireless work to unite both species' knowledge. The Deep Space Array detected another anomaly, she reported quietly. The darkness continues to advance, just as the ancient records predicted. 3 more systems have gone silent in the past month. Marcus nodded grimly. How long until it reaches populated space? At current velocities, 5 years. Maybe less. Her mandibles clicked thoughtfully. But we're better prepared than our ancestors were. The combined fleet grows stronger each day. Above them, the sky occasionally flickered with the quantum shields that now protected every major settlement in both human and Vrothi space. In orbit, ships of both species patrolled together, their designs now incorporating the best of both modern innovation and recovered ancient technology. Ambassador Thea Rhodes's arrival interrupted their contemplation. She'd spent the past year coordinating with other species, building a coalition as evidence of the approaching threat became impossible to ignore. The Andarians have finally agreed to join the alliance, she announced. Their energy-based technology might be crucial against whatever's coming. Even the Galactic Council has officially acknowledged the threat, though some species are still hesitant to commit resources. They'll come around, Marcus replied, or they'll face it alone. The ancient records are clear. This entity, this darkness, it doesn't discriminate. It consumes everything in its path. The memorial's flame cast dancing shadows as dusk approached. Around them, the rebuilt city of New Eden hummed with activity. Human children played alongside young Vrothi in parks designed to accommodate both species, while research centers worked around the clock to unlock more secrets from the ancient facilities. Sometimes I wonder, Thea mused, if the children we lost here somehow knew. Their sacrifice forced us to confront each other, to move past our prejudices just in time to face this threat together. Dr. Curtie's antennae quivered with emotion. In our culture, we believe that great changes require great catalysts. The price was terrible, but their lives may have saved not just our species, but all life in this sector of space. An alert sounded from their communicators. Another ancient facility had been discovered, this one in deep space. Unlike the others, it appeared to be fully operational, waiting for worthy inheritors to claim it. The recovery fleet is ready, Marcus stated. Joint human Vrothi crew, using the protocols we've developed. We've learned from our mistakes. No more forcing activation. No more rushing into unknown technology. And the weapon research? Thea asked. Proceeding carefully, Dr. Curtie answered. The combined insights of our species have already yielded breakthroughs our ancestors couldn't have imagined. We're not just recreating their technology, we're improving upon it. As night fell over New Eden, the memorial flame burned brighter, its light a reminder of both tragedy and hope. In orbit, the combined fleet conducted drills, human and Vrothi crews working in seamless coordination. The Children's Memorial had become more than a place of mourning. It was a symbol of the price paid for unity and the determination to ensure that sacrifice wasn't in vain. The darkness our ancestors fled will find something different this time, Marcus declared. his voice firm with conviction. Not scattered species hiding in fear, but a united front, prepared and determined. The children of New Eden, Thea added softly, will be remembered not just as victims, but as the catalyst that forged this alliance. When the darkness comes, it will face the combined strength, technology, and determination of multiple species fighting as one. Dr. Kurti raised her appendage in a gesture of respect toward the memorial. In ancient Vrathi philosophy, there is a saying, "From the deepest night comes the brightest dawn." Perhaps that is what we're witnessing, the dark before a new era of galactic cooperation. As they stood together, human commander, Vrathi scientist, and human diplomat, the eternal flame cast its light across their faces, illuminating the shared determination in their expressions. The galaxy was changing, preparing for a confrontation that would determine the fate of all species. But unlike their ancestors, they would face it together. The children of New Eden had not died in vain. Their loss had forged something powerful, an alliance born of tragedy, strengthened by understanding, and dedicated to ensuring that life itself would endure in the face of approaching darkness. As the stars emerged above New Eden, they seemed to shine brighter than before, as if in defiance of the void that threatened them. Humanity's wrath had indeed engulfed the galaxy, but it had transformed into something greater. Humanity's resolve, combined with the strength of former enemies, standing ready to face whatever horrors the universe might bring. The new dawn had arrived, and with it, hope for all species who dared to stand together against the night.